has any transactions with us, please, you are encouraged to do the needful within time. 2, on Tuesday, 14th January 2025, Biza disrupted court in Abim. It's an open court. At the time, we had 13 prisoners attending a session, and of course, police had 7. And when the bees attacked, neither the magistrate nor the prisoners remained. They all scattered for their dear life. But I want to take this opportunity to thank the security agencies for having done everything possible and made sure there was no escape. Because even in the running, being chased by bees, at least they were able to ensure that the prisoners do not run. And they are commended for being brave in the face of such circumstances, because we are always accountable for whatever happens. Now, I am here to share a few things about false speculations, which some of you have been calling me about to clarify. And these falsifications around, because of social media, are rotating around Kano Dr. Chiza Besigye and his being in prison, how he's being managed. If I picked a few things, one of them is that we have given him an ultimatum either to eat prison food, or if he doesn't, he should starve to death. Then that 2, that he has already started a hunger strike. And 3, that we have not allowed him to interact with other inmates. And 4, that the government is determined to kill him using prisons. I think I find this one very outrageous. As I told you, we have 80,000 inmates. And our work is to keep, not to kill. Yes, we hang, but we hang those who have been declared by court. We don't simply kill. We hang those court has decided and the president has endorsed. So first of all, there was even an insinuation, personal. Somebody said, Kampala John, saying, leave us to manage a message like how we handled Segirinya. The insinuation is that if Segirinya came out and died, then that's exactly what we are doing for the retired Kanu. This is fake. This is not my word. And that's why I have brought it here. Don't take it as news because somebody is hunting something. I even have a summary of what they were speculating. I don't want to give clout to the one who is speculating, but if you want to know who, the source is also here, and I have brought it for you. Now, my answer to all this is embedded in the law, and you will excuse me. When somebody says something out of the blue that does not have any base, I always find it convenient that I use the law to explain why we are doing what we are doing. And if we go to the Prisons Act, I have the act here, but I have extracted the paper for you because I know if I told you to get it online, you may say you didn't get it right. So I have extracted a page of the act for you to help me understand why we are doing what we are doing. So it's not true that we can deny, because Section 6 says every prisoner shall be subject to the prison discipline and to all laws, orders, and directions related to prisons and prisoners during the entire duration of imprisonment, whether he or she is within the premises of the prison or not. So whether it is Kano Besigye, whether it is any other person, as long as you are a prisoner in prisons, you have to be managed according to the Prisons Act and according to the standing orders. We are the experts. When you come as a visitor, you don't become an expert. I always used to tell, when I was arguing, I said it becomes very funny to find that a professor of history is in theater guiding a doctor on how to conduct an operation or surgery. So please, let us do our work. And we are not doing it the first time. 69 clearly says, a prisoner shall be provided with food of nutritious value, adequate for health and strength, by the prison administration at the usual hours. The food shall be of wholesome quality, well prepared and served. So the one who is speculating that they don't want us to take the food, the act does not provide for the relatives, friends, and the political allies to carry food to the what? To the prison. So if there is the standing orders, I will come to the standing orders. With them they say one may, but the person who receives that food must pay for it, not donations. So when we have tried to bend the law to adjust that we become humane and share, and then somebody starts insinuating, it becomes very, very funny and uncalled for. Because this is how it is. And say, this one here is for you. There are these ones about exercise. Of course, there are many. They have been sending at different times, saying that he has been denied exercise. But all these things are just nothing. Even the complaints, if he wants to make complaints, is allowed. That's an extract from the Prisons Act. Now, what does the Prisons Standing Order say about ration? It is chapter 28, ration for prisoners. You can read it from here, but I've extracted it here for easy reading, and I'm going to read it for you. Section 6. A civil or unconvicted prisoner shall be informed on admission that he or she may be supplied at his or her own expense or at the expense of his or her friends with food and drinks subject to the conditions. When you bring any item to the prison, it is not a market of buyer seller. No, there must be conditions that we adhere to. 1, he shall give notice beforehand of his or her requirements as the officer in charge may prescribe. It is the officer in charge to prescribe, not the prisoner's visitor to prescribe. So we are operating according to what we are given as a guideline. With them, they are speculating according to their political inclination. But we are not going to do politics in management. Management and politics are very different. That's why I am reading this paper so that you read it in detail. But I'm picking what is quick because I don't want to waste your time. Any privilege allowed under these standing orders may be withdrawn by the officer in charge upon proof upon any abuse of them. So those who are misleading that getting food from out is a right, no, it's a privilege, subject to discipline. And the officer in charge is allowed at any time to adjust. The details are so many, you can read for yourself. So, like I said to the New Vision, we are managing prisons as professionals. We are managing prisons according to international standards. And whether it is Kano BCJ, whether it is who, for us, we look at them as prisoners. That's why every prisoner comes to prison and gets a prison number and is managed accordingly. And we shall do that. And I still remind those who are alarming that the government wants to kill retired Kano. At least as far as prisons is concerned, the first time we ever received and kept him was in 2005. He has since been with us not less than 3 times. And he has come in and gone out. And so it will be. There is no need for insinuations. Actually, when you saturate this false information, it is the discretion of the OC whether he should actually allow you again to visit. Because if your intention to visit is to distort facts, then there is no reason for you to be permitted to visit. Thank you for listening to me. If you have any question, you can ask me. If not, I can go to Uganda. Okay. Olwaleero ekitongole ekyamakomera tulina abasibe emitwalo 4 769 abasalire abakyaliremba n'emisango bali 3,891 abamabanja bali 488 omugatte 8,248 abaana balina bamaama baabwe bali 281 bana abasibe bakumirwa mu makomera 269 nga gali mu bibinja 19 oba regions 19 ba staff bakyali omutwalo gumu mu 14 olwaleero tuli wano okutegeeza eggwanga n'abantu betukolagana nabo stand by class 1 oba obukuumi obw'enjawulo twabumaliriza nga 18 olw'omukaaga oluwedde katutuzeeyo okukola emirimu gyaffe nga bulijjo abadde balina byetukolaga betukwatira wamu netukola emirimu bakkirizibwa kubanga batambuza emirimu gyabwe nga bulijjo era naba osi bakimanyi nti twazeeyo kukola nga bulijjo bwe tukola ku lwokubiri oluwedde naku z'omwezi nga 14 ogw'olubereberye 2025 enjuki zayingira kooti nezitaataganya abaalimu mwabo abaafuna obuzibu bw'enjoki mwalimu abasibe 13 ne suspects ba poliisi 7 era twagala kusiima omulimu ogw'amaanyi ogwakolebwa ebitongole ebikuumaddembe kubanga teri musibe n'omu eyatoloka era tukwatirawo tujira tukolerawo bijja tuyamba ndi wano okusambajja ebibadde bitambula mu mikutu gy'amawulire egya social media ebikwatagana ku ndabirira y'omusibe retired Colonel Kiza Besigye bimu kubadde byebisinganyibwa nti Besigye twamuganye okuba nti afuna emmere okuva ebweru emmere embisi si nfumbe nti ekyokubiri wetwogerera yaganye okulya emmere yonna ali ku hunger strike nti ekyokusatu tuganye twamuganye okuba nti abeera ne bane abasibe in fact nti oba yanukula enkuŋŋaanya z'abasibe bane nti waliwo nekenalabye nti ennaku zino bw'ogenda kwogera naye bakuwa ssimu toyogerera mu ssimu tebakukkiriza kutuula naye mpozi n'ekirala nti gavumenti yewaddeyo kubanga eyitira mu kitongole eky'amakomera nti ejjawo obulamu bwa Colonel retired Kiza Besigye kyeŋŋamba nti byonna bino byogera bya bulimba bwe tuba twamanya ekituufu kiriwa ekituufu kiri mu bitabo eby'amateeka ebitufuga ekisooka tulina kye tuyita Prisons Act nazze nayo naye nasseemu kye twagala ekyogera ku bikwatagana n'ensonga ez'abasibe enneeyisa y'abasibe n'ekikwata ku mmere nti buli musibe akkirizibwa kuba nti kitongole ky'amakomera kitukakatako kuba nti buli musibe emmere ey'okulya bwe kibanga emmere yaffe omusibe tasobodde girya era standing orders zo nezigonzaamu neziraga nti abakkirizibwa kusasulira emmere eva ebweru naye osi alina okusooka kukola ki kugyekebejja ate okufuna emmere kuva ebweru si ddembe lya bwebange lwakuba nti kyateekeddwawo okuba nti kiyamba kukwatira wamu enkolagana nnungi y'abasibe n'abasirikale bwe kiba nti ekintu kino tekitwalizibwa tekisiddwa mu makubo amalungi osi akkirizibwa kubanga ateekako ekkufulu n'okuvaawa ebweru naye ekyo tekinaba kukolebwa era ndi wano okukakasa nti abasibe baffe bonna nga ne kano omutwalidde tebalina mutawaana era embeera eri mu nteeko mwebale okumpuliriza. These papers I'm leaving them for you. Teri yadduka teri n'omwe yadduka bona ate enjuki tezirina kubo nti buli lunaku ziyita wano zigwa bugwi. Karamoja ogimanyi kyetaaga n'osooka ogendako ku Karamoja. Karamoja kifo kya musana, waliwo ekiti ekyali kisemberedde kooti ate zaali ziwumuddeko kuba ekiseera ekyokutambula nekituuka, kubanga bwe ziba zitambula zikolamu kano kati zo zayingira buyingizi mu kooti. N'ekyo kibaawo ne mu maofiisi waliwo lweziyitamu, ne mu nyumba ziyitamu. Yes. Nagambe kozi stand by class 1 of course twagimaliriza nga 18 oguluberebere 2025 olw'omukaaga oluwedde wewedde, era tuzeemu kukola emirimu gyaffe nga bulijjo. Abaagala obuyambi kuva eri gye tuli ab'ekitongole ky'amakomera mutuukirire ba OC mujja kutegeeragana enkola y'emirimu. Okay, thank you so much.
Good morning, everybody watching us and those listening to us, and also good morning to the Fourth Estate. Thank you for coming to police headquarters. Like we usually do, every Monday we give the state of security and the operational incidents that we feel we should share with you. We also share pieces of advice in lieu of certain security observations. I will begin with an update on the recent police operation against suspects in Kamocha, that is Kampala City. You will recall that on 13th January 2025, we disrupted a robbery attempt in Kamocha, but which was intended to target a particular bank at Acacia Mall, where 6 suspects were neutralized. This operation, we told you that it was intelligence-led, with officers strategically deployed to counter the suspects. These suspects constitute part of the larger gang known for targeting individuals carrying large sums of money, which had graduated from non-armed assaults. The gang we are talking about has been targeting people without using tools, but by advantage of their energy, they box their and kick their victims into submission, and they have been very particular dispossessing victims of money, especially targeting them from either banks or money serving outlets like mobile money centers. Just to give you a small background, that by the time police entered into this mission, they were following that gang which was led by a notorious figure called Abdulrahman Bakata, alias Pancho, commonly known as Pancho, and one called Tom Sange Farouk. This Tom Sange Farouk, according to our intelligence reports, he was also killed in a previous incident. So this operation, an undercover police officer, we explained all this, but for those of you who may not have got benefit of this information, police managed to enter deep into nipping the bird, planting a victim. These persons target that victim, and it is during that process that the suspects are put out of action. We shared the photos in the newsprint. Those who were put out of action were Amis Mohammed, commonly known as Chemical, then Lukwago Sharif, Sebaka Michael, Fahad Katongole, there is Adam Tuisabe, who is commonly known as Tuisabe Innocent, and Daddy Esse, commonly by the names of Mani Ruhozake. Now, of these 6, Amis Mohammed, commonly known as Chemical, that one we have shared. He has a very stunning criminal record of theft and aggravated robbery. So this one, without a doubt. Incidentally, I didn't bring the bigger pictures, but even by just show of this, the person you see here, I'm going to share this information on our platform. Without a doubt, he was somebody we wanted to get as good as yesterday. There was also Lukwago Sharif. Lukwago Sharif, in our record, we found that he traces back to a theft record in Kasokoso. Then we also found Katongole Fahad, commonly known as Kawesi. For him, he had also an offense within our, because you see, if you have any offense anywhere you have ever committed, and we have taken your biometrics, anytime you come into contact with us again, we retrieve this record. So this particular 3, the deceased, had particular criminal records, and we shared the references and the offenses committed. Then there is also Muzamiru Kamoga, who was arrested. Muzamiru Kamoga, this one has a previous record of theft. Now, one of the things we wanted to bring to your attention is that, yes, there have been issues raised as to were they armed, was the force used in excess of what was required. Well, we got guidance from our minister, and he also got a position from the Inspector General of Police and I would like to reiterate that if there were any excesses, like all operations, anything can go wrong. There are very clear intentions to make sure that that matter is looked into. And let me clarify it. They are very deliberate and intentional. We are intentional in trying to make sure that if there is anything which went wrong, then we shall have to look into it and see how to come out with the remedies to that effect. But I would like to still re-emphasize that these groups are real, save for if there were operational mishaps, but the groups are real, the people are being targeted. That one, the public and the population should not lose their focus on. We have shared a number of incidents on like the following. On January 11th, 2025, there was an attack on a coffee trader. This person was withdrawing money from from Stanbic Bank in Bwaise and traveling to Matuga. The assailants used the particular motorcycles, which we have in our list. 100 million was taken. Now, earlier, 4th January, another business person lost 30.7 million shillings in the industrial area. Same tactics, same groups. It is a large gang, and it is really troublesome in the Greater Kampala Metropolitan. On December 9th, we again had a robbery where 57.4 million shillings was taken after being withdrawn from Centenary Bank. December 16th, a headmistress was assaulted in Chira Division. Now, in this particular situation, one of the attackers was killed and was called Sewa Chirianga Ronald. Now, one of the things you will realize that the motorcycles which have been operating in all these thefts always emerge to be similar, with just a few adjustments where they carry one number plate, because they have a number of number plates they play around with. We shall be giving you a comprehensive linkage where we show you how these people have been coordinating their activities. But the message I would like to communicate here is that the threat by these teams is real, and we need to do something very serious to ensure that we curtail them to make our community live safely. So, like I've communicated, a number of the members of the criminal gang are still in circulation, and the hunt for them is still on. The second issue I would like to share is that we have observed a pattern of vandalism incidents targeting government infrastructure, and in this particular case, I will mention electricity infrastructure. Between the 16th and 17th January, in a village called Katanda, in Katanda sub-county, that is the Rubirizi district, suspected criminals vandalized 120 meters of electric wires from a 3-phase power line. We coordinated with a team of electricians from UEDCL from Katerera branch. We visited and made assessments of the damage, and we are looking for the suspects. Now, the message we want to pass on is that this is very serious. This is sabotage. To sabotage electricity distribution is a very, very serious offense. Now, as police, we have been severally disturbed. Every time we make arrests, you find we have arrested a scrap dealer. You find we have arrested a person who transported these items. The other time, you find we have arrested that one whose house was used to store these items. Now, this one is a message I am bringing forward so that we do not entertain these excuses. Because every time they come giving excuses, I was not the one, they just brought it to my house, oh, me, my fuso, I just transported. Now, this is a message being brought up front. We are not going to tolerate those kind of excuses. You need to read the law. It is very clear. Any person who transports, anybody who buys, anybody who keeps, who aids in any way in this offense is culpable and punishable. Maybe just for purposes of information, they need to know that offenses related to vandalism of electricity infrastructure ranges within 12 years of imprisonment. And I think a fine of around 50,000 currency points, which could be approximately 1 billion shillings. So I know we shall do whatever it takes to get these criminals. But I am calling upon our brothers and sisters who work in scrap business that we shall not entertain your excuses if we ever get you with these items. It is risky, it is dangerous, and it attracts very severe punitive action. The other issue which I wish to share with you is in respect to the recovery of stolen property and also the arrest of suspects in Luiji swamp. Yesterday, Wakiso police carried out an operation. It was intelligence-led in Luiji swamp. It targeted the suspected criminals who have been terrorizing people who use the bypass and also the neighborhood around the swamp. One of the discoveries, of course, not only discovered, but they came across, there are people who have been putting shelters, grass thatched shelters within the swamp of Luiji. So when the operation was carried out, a number of items were discovered or were recovered. 15 motorcycle number plates, 6 motorcycle side mirrors, padlocks, mobile phones, a watch, somebody's wallet, motorcycle logbooks, motorcycle rear lights, a solar battery. They even came across Somali shillings, Somali currency, and also some Ugandan currency. Of course, Ugandan currency, the criminal, even this one, he may say that that was my money. Breaking implements, and also tools like pangas, knives, pliers, screwdrivers, chisels, and so many things. So the officers made 3 arrests of one Niyonzima Richard, a 28-year-old adult, Chiza David, 42 years, and Ngobi Ali. Now, these operations will be continuous. You are aware the bypass is a very, very lucrative target for these criminals. They target people who are riding, vulnerable motorists. Those are riders. They also target people who are walking, because there are people who walk along the bypass. There are also those who jog and do exercises. And one of the things which our officers asked me to convey is the thanks to the community local council who helped them. And that is towards, as you want to head towards the Lenga direction. The community helped. This operation was around the area of Sentema, that break off to Sentema Road, to the bypass. So the local council helped a lot in knocking out these criminals. The other issue I wish to share with you is there is a concern which was raised, and we wish to share. It is in respect to the certificate of good conduct. It has been raised on several forums. People allege that in the middle there, they end up paying amounts which are not lawful. In other words, they are either they bribe or they are extorted of. I wish to state that the Directorate of Interpol has confirmed the receipt of those concerns. Some of them were sent on Twitter. There was one we read which was sent, and the complainant or the person making the allegation suggested that his identity is not revealed. So we took cognizance of that. And that particular person alleged that they pay 50,000 to officers for a stamp in addition to bank fees, because there are particular bank fees also which are paid. Given that complaint does not specify the victim's identity, of course we find it a bit of a challenge to particularly trace this nature of complaints based on that anonymous person's complaint. Nonetheless, as the Directorate of Interpol, there is interest which has been picked to make sure that they investigate the broader allegations, because that is not the first. But it is important to clarify that the Directorate only issues certificates of good conduct which include a barcode for verification. Our certificates do not carry stamps, because in the complaint, I think there was even somebody who was saying that to pay for a stamp, this is the amount they extort. Our certificate looks like this. We used the photo of our officer. We didn't want to. So you realize that it has a barcode. We don't stamp our certificates. So I request that you take note, but the fees are paid, but not police. These are bank charges. Secondly, we also want to state that the challenge we have found generally is that at times there are people who probably want fast services beyond the prescribed time. And in so doing, and in a panicky, sometimes in a panicky mood, they end up looking for anybody who seems to be having a solution. They can even look for a security guard at Interpol. And you realize that such victims play sometimes also a role in instigating this kind of illegalities. If they have said that a document takes 7 days, and for you, you come saying you want it in 2 hours, and you panic around the place looking for some, that's how they land onto some also con men and all sorts of people. Whenever there are such unrealistic demands, it gives rise to some members within the service providers' desks to exploit such anxieties. But that one is not an excuse because corruption can never be justified. As a public officer, we cannot sit here and say, because of that, so it be. No. We have to condemn it in whatever form and whatever the circumstances. It is not excusable for our officers or anybody else to exploit anyone. But what we always tell our people is that it is not once, it is not twice, not thrice when we have shared our numbers to address concerns when you feel that a public officer is digressing from the professional code. It becomes a challenge when you get those numbers and you do not exploit them. Because at the end of the day, even when you raise these concerns on other platforms, we still get them back to the officers who are supposed to act on them. And one of them is our professional standards unit. So let's make use of it. It is when you find challenges that probably you have reported a matter and it is not being addressed, that now you escalate it to the superior ranks within the police force and you will be assisted. So I have given you this. We do not stamp. We pay in the banks, but we also advise that if anybody attempts to come and solicit any money from you in whatever manner, please reach out to us. Thank you very much. Mbalamusiza mwena abatulaba n'abatuwuliriza. Tubatuusaako buli Monday state ya security n'ebikwekweto ebimu bye tuba tukoze mu wiiki. Nja kutandika ne brief ku ekyaliwo Kamwocha bwe twakuba abantu amasasi bantu 6 betwali tukoze omutego nga walugenda kubaawo robbery. Eno robbery yali egenda kuba ku Acacia Mall ku bank emu, era twakozesa abakesi baffe ne tufuna engeri bano abantu ne bajja. Then ne tukola operation eyo, ebyavaamu byebyo ebyavaamu. Nzize okubategeeza kubanga tuze tuwa information eno, naye twagala abantu bamanye nti tuyina okusoomozebwa kungi n'ebikoosi bino ebyababbi. Abantu abamu bayinza okugamba ababbi balina pangas, balina kiki, balina emmundu, naye bano ababbi okukosebwa kwe batuusiza ku bantu si kutono. Ate n'ekirala abantu kye balina okumanya is that bakula batandika ng'akabinja just akakuba ebikonde, kubanga basiiba nnyo mu zijimu nga bakuba bukubi bikonde bagira ku mapiki, bayinza okugira ku piki nga 6, ne bakuba omuntu ne bamuyisa bubi, esente ne bakola ki, ne bazitwala. Era akabinja kano kakoze operations nyingi nga kabba abantu. Kati mu operation eno gye twakola, bano abantu 6 twakolako okunoonyereza kubamu ne tusanga nga bayina emisango mu rekodi zaffe za poliisi. Kati nga Hamisi Mohamed we bayita chemical, ono ye twamusanga n'emisango egya robbery ne aggravated robbery. Aggravated robbery gwe musango nga owenyigidde mu robbery naye nga erimu okukozesa what do they call a weapon? Ebisi. Tuyina nyizo okubalagako wano. Naye nga tugenda biteeka ku mutimbagano gwaffe era n'agenda kagenda bisangako. Kati ng'ono Hamisi Mohamed sinti yali muntu wa bulijjo, no, ayina record era nga ne record ki weeri. Waliwo ne Lukwago Sharif, naye bwe twanoonyereza mu system yaffe twasanga nga ayina omusango e Kasokoso. Then ne Katongole Fahadi oba Kaweesi, naye yayina ono wansi wano, naye yayina omusango ku Ginger Road. Waliwo n'omulala naye ye teyafa, bamuyita Muzamiru Kamoga, ono naye yayina omusango ku Ginger Road. Era rekodi yaabwe weeri. Tuze tufuna obuzibu nabo kati nga January 11th oba 11 baatakinga omusuubuzi ne bamubbako million 10. Yali ava mu Stanbic Bank bwayise nga sente azitwala agenda Matuga. Tuyina ne piki mujaziraba ze bakozesa. Nga January 4 era ne babba million 3 mu industrial area. Nga December 9 waliwo omuntu we banyaga million 57 kumpi ne Case Clinic mu kitundu kya Buganda Road. Then waliwo ne we banyaga million 11 kumpi ne dwaliro lya bakyala e Kawempe. Nga 16 December era bakola obulumbaganyi ku headmistress omu mu Kira division, naye omu mubo ne bamutiramu era bali bamuyita Sewa Kiriyanga Ronald. Then waliwo ne 15th June nawe era bakola obulumbaganyi era ne babba million 394 ne mitwalo gya $17 mu Nakawa division. So eno si tiimu ntinto, ate ekirala tiimu nene eyisa ne mu bantu 10 ebadde ku watch list ya intelligence yaffe era nga n'abalala gye bali eyo tukyabanoonya. So eno tiimu tuginoonya era tulina okumakinga sure nti tugikwasa n'amaanyi. Kati of course waliwo issues abantu ze babadde baraisinga nga bagamba nti banaye poliisi muyinza okuba mwakozesa eryanyi lingi. Operations, era kino njagala mukikwate bulungi. Operations oluusi ziyinza okugenda obulungi, oluusi ziyinza okubeeramu okusoomozebwa. Naye ekigendererwa kya poliisi tuyina naffe okusoomozebwa kungi nti twagala okulaba nti tukola buli kimu ekisoboka okulaba nti we bring peace oba eddembe. Kati twafuna guidance, ndoza mwalaba twayina guidance okuva ewa minisita waffe ne IGP yakiwaako position nti tetuyinza kuba na kigendererwa kyakutta busi muntu. Wabaawo kimu oba bibiri ekitagenda bulungi, njagala okubategeeza nti nga poliisi tuligezaako okulaba nti tunoonyereza mu nsonga eno, tulabe engeri kikyennyini ekyakola ki ekyaliwo n'engeri gye tusobola okukigonjoolamu. Naye nga mulina okumanya nti obulabe bwo weebuli mu bantu ab'ekika kino, era ne incidents zembawadde ezo ziraga nti ekituufu kyo abantu banyagibwa, ate nga abantu abamu bano babijambiya. Ate tewabaawo omuntu alowooza nti ejambiya is not a dangerous weapon. It is. Ne bwogenda mu crime statistics zaffe za murders nyingi zosanga nga actually bakozeseza jambiya. Ejambiya ejo olaba etta nnyo abantu. Issue endala gye njagala okusharinga ye issue ya abantu ababba ebintu eby'amasanyalaze. Eyo mu Lubirizi district nga mu kiro ekyakeesa olunaku lwa 17 tutebereza wakati wa 16 ne 17 gwa January ku Katanda village waliwo abantu ababba meters 12 eza waya ku line ya 3 phase. Guno musango munene nnyo. Actually bano basabotua okubba ebintu ebyaliyambye abantu okufuna amasanyalaze. Ne basabotage y'amaanyi. Naye ffe tumanyi tujja kubafuna kubanga tutera okukola intelligence yaffe ne tubatuukako. Naye twagala okulabula, tutera buli bwe tukola ebikwekweto bino tutera okufuna bamakanika, abatunda scraps. Oli waliwo abamu abavaayo n'agamba nti nze banteresa buteresa bintu. Twagala okulabula abantu ab'ekika kino nti tetujja kuwuliriza nsonga ezo. Gwe manya omuntu yenna we tunaasanga ng'ayina ekibbe eky'amasanyalaze tujja kukwata, naye olina n'okumanya nti ekibonerezo si kitono. Ekibonerezo bwe baba bakukutete oyinza okufuna wakati w'emyaka 12 nga bakusibye. Usually fine etera okubeera between around 50,000 currency points, emitwalo 5 y'obu currency points. Ndoza ye mu sente tugambe nga billion emu. So ekibonerezo si kitono, naye tutera okufuna kubanga omubbi bw'amala okubba alina w'ateresa. Then oluusi bagenda mu butale ne batunda bino ebintu. Kati enkya bwe tumala okukwata gwe ng'otandika tuwoleza nti wagula buguzi. No, it takes serious issue ensonga eno nti bwe tukugwako tetujja kuyisa bulungi. Etteeka lijja kukwata n'amaanyi. So twagala okulabula abantu bategeere ekyo. Issue endala gye njagala okubategeeza ye issue ya operation gye twakoze mu Luiji. Jo nga 19 twakoze operation mu Luiji. Mu Luiji omwo mulimu abaami baali bazimbamu obusisira naye nga batagetinga abantu abatera okukozesa oluguudo olwo either nga batambula, abalala babanyagako amasimu, bano bosanga nga olusi edinisa olirese nga sirigale ery'emmotoka. Then also ne bakuba na twasanze ne number plates za boda ekiraga nti either babba bodas o ekintu kyonna ekyekuusa ku boda. So ekyo ekikwekweto twakwatiddemu abantu 3. Then twazudde ne number plates 15, side mirrors za pikipiki 6 n'ebintu bingi, locks za gundi za piki, esimu zino mobile phones 7, essaawa, wallet, logbooks za piki, solar battery, etaala lya gundi, ebintu bingi, ne sente. Waliwo ne sente za Somalia ne za Uganda, then n'ebimenya amayumba. Kati bano betwakutte mwabaddemu Niyonzima Richard, Chiza David ne Ngobi Ali, era ng'abo tubalina mu buddukulu bwaffe. Naye poliisi yaffe eya Wakiso yansabye ntuuse okwebaza eri ba LCs kubanga kino ekikwekweto tekyabaddemu poliisi yokka naye n'abalala abagiyambyeko, era nga tusuubiza nti n'ebikwekweto ebirala bajja kuba babikola kubanga teams zino zikyalimu naye tujja kuba tuzifeefeeta mpolampola. Ekisembayo ye issue ya certificate of good conduct. Usually abantu batera okujja ku directorate yaffe ya Interpol nga baagala eno certificate eraga oyimiridde otya mu buzzi bw'omusango oba obw'emisango. Kati waliwo abantu ababadde bagamba nti waliwo enguzi etera okutambulira ku kitebe awo, naye twagala okutegeeza abantu nti certificate yaffe eyo ekisooka essente zonna ze basasula tebaziwanga cash to police, zisasulibwa mu mitendera, banka ye receiving. N'ekirala waliwo eyagamba nti okuwa stamp $200. Waliwo sente zosasula. Eno gundi yaffe tetugikubako stamp. Eno certificate bweti bwefaanana tekola ki, tetambula na stamp. Naye ekirala kye twagala okutegeeza abantu kiri nti bw'oba nga oza okufuna services zaffe za police nga ku Interpol n'osangayo omuntu yenna akusaba ssente, tuba tusaba otutuukirire tulabe engeri gye tupanishingamu omuntu oyo. Naye ate n'ekirala kye twagala okusharinga is that naffe tulina complaint emu, abantu baagala nnyo okubuuka amateeka. Certificate wetukugamba nti ojja gifunira either mu nnaku 5 oba week, tulinayo oli ajja n'atugamba nze njagala nkya, certificate njagala nkya. Kati abo banjagala nkya be batera okuexploitinga, abo be batera okugwa mu butego bw'abano abantu bosanga nga baagala akasente, because omuntu bwakulaba nti oyina oyina I think agency obwangu obutali bwa bulijjo awo watera okuva okujja okuexploitinga. So tubasaba nti namwe oluusi mu planningire ng'ebintu byammwe bulungi. Certificate yaffe ogifuna wakati w'ennaku 5 n'ennaku 7. So tusaba nti abantu batambulire mu mateeka, naye bw'ebanga ogudde mu katego k'oyo ayagala okuggyako akasente mu butali mu mateeka, then awo we tujja okuyambira. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. Waliyo n'endala eza gundi ebiri eja gundi eja foreign affairs. Any questions? Yes, sir. Yes, Becca.
We tried talking to some of the relatives of those people who were neutralized last time. But unfortunately, one of the family said that their lives are under threat. They're receiving different phone calls, stopping them from speaking to the media. Want to know if it's true or not, and maybe who could have ordered the killing or the shooting of those guys. Because we understand your role could be law and order whereby you're supposed to arrest and maybe for wiping out. So maybe could you elaborate more on why the shooting was carried out?
Like I've told you, we are going to look into this matter, and I would be more comfortable we come out with a particular position after we have looked into it and got to the depth of the issues surrounding the entire operation. Otherwise, today I wanted to particularly give you an update on the details of the operation, particularly in respect to the identities of some of the people whom we felt have particular criminal records. Yes. Nga bwe mbadde nnyonnyola nti operations tetuconcludinga kati nti twatwalidde amateeka mu ngalo. Engeri gye nga bwe twafunye guidance era ne IGP yakinyonnyola mu parliament, tugenda kugezaako okwekenneenya details z'operation eno, ndowooza ze zinaatuwa ekifaananyi ekituufu, then awo bwe tunacommunicatingira. Naye kati kikyali so premature okukola comments nti oba twatwalidde amateeka mu ngalo oba nedda. Omuntu ayinza okwogera naye kyaba ayogedde tuba twetaaga ne tukisengejja ne tulaba oba kyova olaba abantu ng'abo baveeyo bajje batuyambe mu kunoonyereza. No, because it is one, you see, evidence is based on, of course, somebody says, let's first investigate this matter because that is an allegation. So let those allegations be put to use let them come to us and then we listen to them because we want to get into the details of how our officers conducted this operation. Nedda sinti bubaka kibwe issue eri bweti ffe poliisi sagala gamba nti ekisooka tetugendera tetuyinza kukola conclusion okuviira ku ki abantu kye bakoze eki kye bayogedde. Tugambye tuyina okutunula mu bye bayogedde ne tulaba ki kyennyini ekituufu mu byo. So at the moment tujja kuba tujula bitanaba kujja. Let's first, this matter is still under observation. Mwebale nnyo. Let me say this matter is still under, we are looking into it and making scrutiny. It would be premature for me to make a comment at the moment. We have been given guidance, we have issued our position on this matter. At an appropriate time, we shall be having a longer conversation about it. Is that all? Let us see a dog serious. Okay, thank you very much.
Very good morning to you all. The Fourth Estate present today. My name is Basali Wachigenyi Derek, the Deputy National Coordinator in the National Office for Countering Human Trafficking in Uganda. And as the National Coordination Office, first of all, we want to congratulate all of you and welcome you into the new year 2025 and wish you a very prosperous and successful year forthcoming. And as we continue the fight in countering trafficking in persons in Uganda and beyond, the previous week we had some very successful operations in the field of countering human trafficking. A total of 22 children were rescued by an interception conducted by our police in Busia district. That was on the 14th of January, 2025. And these children are between the ages of 4 and 17. Now, these children were intercepted while in the hands of 4 perpetrators or traffickers, 2 of whom were Ugandans, and 2 Kenyans. The Kenyans who are waiting to take our children across the border. The 2 Ugandans include Mirembe Monica. This one is a female aged 32 years, Uganda by tribe, and a teacher at Ebenezer Children's Center, and a resident of Nsambia, Chirombe, Kampala. The counterpart is Katabarwa Christopher, also a male adult of 39 years, Uganda by tribe, and a Shamba boy, or a Shamba man, if you like, a resident of Kansanga, Machindye division in Kampala. Now their accomplices, or their counterparts across the border, are also a male and a female. I think you can see how they try to make it seem very, very, very okay, in the sense that they try to move in couples. the lady, a Kenyan, known as Jeans Ambio Ambemba. This one is a 74-year-old. Now, I've always told you that trafficking of human beings is not limited to a certain age group. Even the traffickers can be of any age. Now you can imagine a 74-year-old lady, a Kenyan, who is also a director at one of the schools where the children, our Ugandan children, were supposedly meant to go for free education. A director at Imatsuli Sunrise Academy in Kenya, found in Emasuli, Buyinga County in Kenya. Now, she worked with someone also, a gentleman called Omulama Stephen, a 29-year-old, a Muluya also by tribe. Even the lady is a Luya, and a teacher also at the same school, Emasuli Sunrise Academy, and a resident of Emuhaya Sub-County, Vihiga County in Kenya. Now, you can see how organized these criminals are, because they organize in Uganda and the same way it is organized back in Kenya. Our children, the 22, were supposedly meant to go and have free education in this particular school. However, when you look at all the facts in this situation or in this case, there is no free education whatsoever, and the modalities that were undertaken to have these children cross the border were also illegal. First of all, none of the children has a travel document on them, meaning the children were going to be crossed over by smuggling. They were going to be smuggled across the border. Yes, we know Busia borderline is porous in a way, but no one is supposed to cross illegally. And secondly, all these children, we do not have any consent from their parents to travel across the border. And so you realize that there are so many illegalities in this that led us into concluding this case to be aggravated trafficking in persons. Now, within this group of 22, there is one 4-year-old. You can imagine, one 4-year-old female juvenile. This one hailed from within Wakiso district. 2 of them are 6-year-olds, also 6 female juveniles, still from Wakiso district. 2 7-year-olds, these hailed from Kampala. 4 8-year-olds, female juveniles also from Kampala. 2 9-year-olds, 3 10-year-olds, 2 of whom are female juveniles, and 1 male juvenile. This one now from Chenjojo. I keep telling you that yes, the traffickers will come to you from any part of the country. Imagine from as far as Chenjojo to Busia. Then 2 11-year-olds, male juveniles from Kampala and Wakiso, and 2 12-year-olds, female juveniles from Kampala and Wakiso. 3 13-year-olds, male juveniles. Now 1 is from Kabale. Yes, to that extent that they had to pick some from that far, and 2 from Kampala, and 1 whose age is unknown yet. Now, from our small analysis, majority of these victims hailed from Wakiso district, and they are about 11. 9 of them from within Kampala, 1 from Chenjojo, and 1 from Kabale district. This is exactly what we've been talking about all this while, that the perpetrators have their timings. And now we realize that we are closing into reopening of schools. So they are coming to you parents, they are coming to you, the public, and everyone else with promises of free education. Let us be mindful, let us be alert, let us take care to ensure that we don't hand our kids or our children to perpetrators whatsoever. One of the ways that these children were transported was mainly by public means. Yes, and this is one of the things that we've been talking about. When we have public transporters associating themselves with traffickers. They were transported by public means to Busia, and this is something that we've been talking about, encouraging our road traffic officers to be keen about transporters and anyone else in the public. And during the same period, in Mount Moroto region of Karamoja, we had yet another interception of 12 children. Now, I bring this in relation to transportation. These 12 children, all hail from Napak district, were intercepted on a bus, gateway bus number UAU 398M, en route to Kampala. This gateway bus was carrying these children and was intercepted at Matani Town Council in Napak district. However, how this happened was through an alert to the police by the public concerned. And this is exactly what we've also been encouraging the public to do. When you see something that is unusual, why would someone travel with so many children? And moreover, the perpetrator is a 20-year-old Lolem Lapol Poli, also a resident of the same village where these children come from, in Napak district. Yes, this is where we also applaud the public for raising this concern to the police and any other authorities. And in the same vein, the driver of this particular bus, UAU 398M, gateway bus, we expect you to report to the police in Moroto district and make your statement accordingly before we come for you. Because you have to explain to us how you have to transport all these children without even being concerned where one person is taking them. The driver of UAU 398M gateway bus service, during the same day, that was on 17th January, we expect you to report as soon as possible to the police and make your statement accordingly. And yes, we continue to talk about this. The parents, the guardians, school administrators, you can see what is happening, all these connections, and mainly the children are being targeted. We call upon you and we call upon all authorities in the different districts, especially now, the districts along the borderlines, because now we see our children are heading to Kenya, for instance, purportedly for free education, as though we don't have universal primary education in the country. Okay. Oops. Sudan. Mbalamusizaako mwenna bannayuganda bannaffe bannamawulire olunaku lwa leero ennaku z'omwezi 2 omwezi guno gwa January mwaka 2025 2025 okuva mu ofisi yaffe ekwasaganya ensonga z'okuziyiza kikukusa abantu mu ggwanga mu ministry y'ensonga z'omunda tubayozaayoza nate okutuuka mu mwaka guno omupya ate era netubaagaliza omwaka omulungi. Amannya kitibwa Basaalirwa Kigenyi Derek, era nga nze amyuka omukulu akwanaganya ensonga z'okuziyiza kikukusa abantu mu ggwanga lyattu Uganda. Olunaku lwa leero tuzze n'amawulire agakwata ku baana baffe poliisi be yasobodde okununula mu bitundu by'e Busia, bitundu by'ebuvanjuba mu Uganda, ku booda yaffe ey'e Busia, era nga bano abaana bawerera ddala 22. Abaana bano babadde bakukusibwa okuviira ddala mu bitundu ebyetoolodde eggwanga, okusingira ddala okuva mu Wakiso district ne Kampala district, weewaawo nga mulimu n'abalala abavudde mu district ng'ey'e Kabale ne Kyenjojo. Abaana bano babadde bakukusibwa abantu wano wammanga, ng'asookerwako ddala y'omukyala ayitibwa Mirembe Monica, era ng'atemera mu myaka 32, ono nga Muganda, nga musomesa ku ssomero lya Ebenezer Children Center, era nga mutuuze Ensambya mu Kirombe, Kampala. Mirembe yabadde takola yekka, nga yabadde akolera wamu ne Katabalwa Christopher nga wa myaka 39. Katabalwa ono naye musajja Muganda nga yeekozesa emirimu gye egy'omu nnimiro, ng'ate mutuuze e Kansanga Makindye Division mu Kampala. Bano nno babadde basazeewo okuwaayo abaana baffe eri mu Bannakenya nga bagenda bakwasa abantu bano 2 wammanga be twakutteko, era nga bo nabo Bannakenya. Omu ku bo omukyala ayitibwa Jeans Ambio Ambemba, ono ng'ekyewuunyisa atemera mu myaka 74, era nga e Kenya ava mu Baluya. Omukyala ono kyategerekeseeko nti era nga y'omu ku badirekita b'essomero eriyitibwa Emasuli Sunrise Academy e Kenya, ng'abaana baffe gye bateeberezebwa okutwalibwa. Jeans yabadde akolera wamu ne munne omwami ayitibwa Omulama Stephen, nga omwami ono atemera mu myaka 29, nga naye aviira ddala mu Baluya e Kenya. N'ono omwami naye nga musomesa ku ssomero ly'erimu erya Emasuli Sunrise Academy mu bitundu by'e Kenya. Abaana bano bagibwa ku bazadde baabwe nga Monica wamu ne Christopher be bakikola, oba oli awo n'abantu abalala be tutannaba kuzuula, nga babalimbalimba nti babatwala kusoma era nga bagenda kusomera bwereere. Ekyo kitali kituufu. Naye mu baana bano ekisinga okwennyamiza mulimu omwana ow'emyaka 4. Omwana ono nga bazadde be babeera Wakiso, mwana wa buwala, era ne mubaamu n'abaana 2 nga bo batemera mu myaka 6, nabo baana ba buwala nga basibuka Wakiso. Ne mubaamu abaana 2 aba myaka 7, bano nno nabo bo basibuka Kampala. Ne mubaamu abaana 4 aba myaka 8, kati ate bo bano baana ba buwala naye basibuka Kampala. Ne mubaamu abaana 2 aba myaka 9, bo tetunnategeera bulungi gye basibuka, bandibanga beerabidde oba nga tebamanyi. Ne mubaamu abaana abalala 3 batemera mu myaka 10, ab'obuwala 2 nga basibuka Wakiso, n'omuvubuka omu naye ono ate ye nga asibuka Kyenjojo, Kyenjojo district, western part of Uganda. Abalala 2 abatemera mu myaka 11, era nga bano baana ba bulenzi, omu asibuka Kampala, omulala Wakiso. Abaana abalala 2 myaka 12, baana ba buwala, omulala ewaabwe Kampala bazadde be oba gy'abeera, ate ng'omulala we Wakiso. ne mubeeramu abaana abalala basatu nga batemera mu myaka 13 nga kuliko omuvubuka omu ate ono ye ng'asibuka mu bitundu by'e Kabale, southwestern part of Uganda, n'abalala babiri ab'e Kampala, ate ne kubaako n'omwana omu omulala ye nga asibuka Kampala naye emyaka gye naye tagimanyi. So mu kutunula mu nsonga yaffe eno nga bweyimiridde, twakizudde nti abaana abawerera ddala 11 ku bano basibuka Wakiso. Ekyongero tulaga nti era kikukusa abantu Wakiso ekyalo ebya banne disitulikiti ezeetooloddewo, naye ate nekituyambako okumanya ki kye twetaaga okukola okwongera okukubiriza abazadde n'abantu bonna abeetoolodde mu Wakiso, n'okwongera obbategeezaako nti kikukusa abantu abeetoolodde mubeere bulindaala ab'e Wakiso, kubanga abakukusa abantu babali munda awo wennyini. E Kampala abaana 9, Kyenjojo omu gwe njogeddeko, ne Kabale omwana omu. Abaana bano mu kukusibwa okutuuka e Busia baatambuzibwa mu motoka eza takisi, era nga wano wetusinga n'okukubira omulanga bannaffe abavuga emmotoka zino nti nammwe omusango guno gubakwatako, bwe muba temufaayo ne tubakwatira mu kikolwa kino, nammwe tuba tugenda basiba. Era waliwo omu ku bo gwe tunoonya nga ye muvuzi wa baasi ya Gateway, nga y'omu ku abo be tuteeberezebwa okuba nti yenyigira mu kikolwa kino. Ye yabadde mu musango gwo gwadde gusangibwa mu bitundu by'e Karamoja mu Moroto region. Nga guno omusango ate gwo wabaddemu abaana 12. Abaana bano basangiddwa ennaku z'omwezi 18 omwezi guno ogwa January nga bakukusibwa. Omukyalo omu atemera mu myaka 2 ayitibwa Lolem Lapo Koli, ng'abaana bano asuubira obbatwala okutuukira ddala e Kampala. Kuba baasi eno yabadde egendera ddala paka Kampala. Era baasi namba UAU 398M nga baasi eno ya kitongole kya Gateway Bus Services. Mwenyigidde mu kukusa abaana. Omugoba wa baasi eno UAU 398M itawo mangu ddala ogende ku poliisi ey'e Moroto oba ey'e Napak obeeko by'otugamba ku nsonga eno nga tetunnaba kunoonya, kubeera tugenda kunoonya. Bino bikwatako bulijjo tubakubiriza nammwe abavuga abagoba b'emmotoka zino temumala gafa ku ssente, naye mufeeyo nnyo okulaba n'okwebuuza ono omuntu atwala bano abaana abatwala wa, yabazaala, wakiri baleke ku paaka awo, oba tegeezaako abakulembeze bammwe mu zi bus park oba taxi park nga tonnabatwala. Naye kati bw'okikola ku lulwo naffe tujja kukwatira mu musango guno. So tubakubiriza abazadde mwenna, kano ke kaseera bannaffe abakukusa abaana baffe ke batambuliramu ng'abaana banatera okudda ku masomero, nga holidays zinatera okuggwako, bajja n'ebyo ebitiiso nga bababuzaabuza babafera nti abaana bagenda kusomera bwereere. Ebyo byonna mubeere bulindaala, mufeeyo nnyo okwebuuza. Wakiri genda ku poliisi obategeezeeko omuntu ono byakutegeeza, poliisi ejja kutegeeza oba ddala bituufu oba si bya ddala, kuba erina obuvune obusobola okwebuuza mu ggwanga lyonna okumanya oba ddala bye boogerako bituufu oba si bituufu. So twongera obbakubiriza nga gavumenti mufeeyo nnyo bannaffe. Kano akaseera kazibu nnyo naddala bano abakukusa abaana baffe nga beerimbika mu kubawa omukisa ogw'okusomera obwereere. Mwebale nnyo, mwebalire ddala. No, the parents of all the 22 children rescued in Busia, we are yet to get in touch with the parents because most of these children don't even have contacts of their parents that we can rely on probably to call and engage them. But some few that have got the news, of course, have tried to reach out. But this is still under our investigation. And you realize that some of these parents will also be arrested accordingly. Like we've always said, some of the parents are also engaged in trafficking their own children. They are no exception. So even if you're a parent of this child and you are involved in this particular case, you will serve your sentence accordingly. Yes. So, abazadde kino kijja kuba na kyakulabirako. Bwe kinazuulibwa nti abaana bano be twataasizza e Busia, mu bitundu by'e Busia, ti abamu ku mmwe abazadde mwabyenyigiddemu, nammwe mugenda kusibibwa. Kuba bulijjo era tuzze tubagamba nti n'omuzadde naye kimukwatako, ate nga tulina abazadde bangi abazze nga bakukusa abaana baabwe. Tukirabyeko ne mu bitundu by'e Karamojja, omuzadde n'awaayo omwana ne bamuwa omusimbi, so ng'omwana bamuleeta wano ku kibuga ku street, kusabiriza ku street, nga wali akifunamu. So bw'onoosangibwa naawe ng'omuzadde ng'obadde weenyigidde mu nsonga eno, naawe ogenda kusibibwa. Weebale nnyo, weebalire ddala. Thank you.